Good morning. This is Talking Devils, the leading independent Manchester United podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Barton, joined by Manchester United legend Paul Parker to talk over the start of the season. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can subscribe and like. If you can get your comments or questions, and if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, if you're watching back on the replay, say hello because we do reply to the comments. And if you're listening on the audio podcast, if you can subscribe and leave a positive review on the platform you're listening on, would really appreciate it. Paul, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Wayne. Not
Yep.
bad at yet.
Good weekend, enjoying the sun?
I must say I'm more of a winter person than a summer person, to be honest, really. I don't mind a bit, but it's meant to be excessive here in London today. Well, I'm saying I'm not in London, I'm in Essex, but they're still saying it's going to be 30, 32. So I wouldn't say I was a lover of that, to be perfectly honest, but I suppose it beats a rainy November, doesn't it, really?
No, I'm with you. It's weather that is not fair for us baldies. It's can be quite intense. I was at Wembley on Saturday to see United play City in the Community Shield, and for a long time I felt the game plan was really good. We drew 1-1 in the game, lost on penalties. I felt like we had the better of the 90 minutes, really. After soaking up pressure for 20-odd minutes, it seemed like the same tactical setup in the final, although like different personnel, they were missing some players as well, but the setup seemed the same with the sort of, I forget who was playing up front now. It was Rashford. Oh, sorry, maybe Rashford was playing through. He was on the left, wasn't he? So it was Bruno and I can't remember off the top of my head, but they were playing off that blunt attack, basically, where you know that they weren't going to be putting that much pressure on with a singular target man, and soaking up the pressure, and we did, and we hit them on the break. After like half an hour, we started to get chances, and then in the second half, I felt like we really had some good chances. Rashford missed that great chance in the first half, and then Johnny just put in the comments here. Bruno was the false 9 and Mount was the 10. It was Mount that I was thinking of. I'm so not used to seeing him play for United. It takes a few minutes to register that he was on the pitch. But I felt like the game plan worked very well. The changes worked very well. I felt Ahmad was fantastic. His dribbling was very incisive. Paul, I'm sure that when we talk about it, say that one of the great qualities of any attacker is the ability to penetrate a defence singularly, to be able to do that. And he did it. And then Garnacho obviously came on and scored the goal, which was fantastic. Rashford misses a couple of chances. It's the post in that second half. Bruno had a goal disallowed. I really felt like United had dominated the game in as much as you can, knowing it's going to be a pragmatic, reactive kind of way. City are always going to have more of the ball. However, obviously we changed the system, put Palestri on at right back because the numbers are that low at the moment in that position, and he was caught out. I mean, if you're letting Bernardo Silva score a header at the far post, then I don't even think Paul Parker, who was a little bit shorter than me, would allow that to happen. But it just tells you the unfamiliarity. So 1-1, not really a bad draw in there. But then we lose on penalties. Sancho and Evans missing the kicks after Onana would save Bernardo's first kick. A lot to pick out from it. Before I come to you, Paul, I'll just get to the some of the comments in here. We've got Johnny saying, pleased with the performance. Didn't look like a gap of quality as we might have expected. I wanted to see Zirk say, but maybe on Friday. We deserve to win, but for more finishing. Yeah. What did you make of the game?
Again, I think a few people were surprised about how United went about it. They took the game to City. The sceptics have come out and talk about the players that City didn't have missing, and they won't mention about the players that United had missing, though. But I would say, I think the majority of United fans have got to be pleased with what they saw. I think the disappointment comes from the fact of the game should have been won in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It was as simple as that. No way around it. They should have beaten City in 90 minutes. I feel sorry for Palestri. I mean, he's not a right back. and he just got caught on his heels a little bit. And by the time he's realised, there's no way that he could have actually recovered in that short space of time to the header. I do look where Onana was when that ball was crossed. I think he was almost like in front of his near post when that ball was put to that area.
Yeah.
And then as he's gone across, he's not even dived. It hasn't gone that far away from him. And I don't know. I was hoping that I'd do my best not to be talking about him, and was hoping for a David De Gea pickup, because David De Gea's first season wasn't the best.
Yeah.
For different reasons. He struggled with the physicality and what teams done from dead ball situations, which he wasn't used to in his homeland. But Onana, it does worry me. The penalties, honestly, I would have brought back Peter Shelton. That tells you what I think about Onana with penalties. I mean, the bit with Haaland was incredible. Telling Haaland where he's going to kick the ball, and it thinks of, I don't know what he was trying to do. So I think overall, I think everyone will be pleased about the way it's gone. They're looking forward to the game at the weekend, and the manager must be pleased what he saw. I mean, the football that United played was over that period, over that 90-minute period, was consistently was the best I've seen in a long time, to be perfectly honest, Wayne, in that attacking third. They looked like they had ideas. And I think as well it helps with Fernandes there, because he had someone maybe to play off. He wasn't really back to the game as such for him, but the interchange and the passing and the linking was really good. And if you can maybe get Højlund when he's fit to start doing that, and maybe being more on his toes rather than flat-footed and things, that, I think the fact of, and the way that Ahmad on that, I mean, Ahmad for me was maybe one of the best players. He was the constant threat, and you see the way City defended it, they couldn't handle it. I mean, I said something a couple of weeks back about Ahmad. He's at this moment in time, he's Manchester United's best wide player, because he gets on the ball and he's got a picture of what he wants to do next. And if the picture doesn't work out, he can keep possession because he's comfortable with the ball, and he very rarely gives it away. His decision making is far better than any of the wide players that Manchester United have got. And he doesn't need pace to beat people. He beats them by the movement of his body, or the fact of people are scared to get tight to him because they're worried about his close control. Yeah. So already he's set himself like an aura where people are aware of his ability. They don't want to get too tight because they're worried about him slipping past, and they don't want to go too tight because they're worried about him passing in behind them. So he's set himself a little bit of a kind of a presence already, and that people are respecting him. And for someone who hasn't played a lot of football and enough football for Manchester United, he needs a run. People will talk about, Garnacho this and when he come on. Garnacho's best games for Manchester United have always been when he's come off the bench. Never when he starts. Never.
Talk to me about this then, Paul, because I mean that's the dilemma. I agree. Well, I don't know if you're going down this road, but my theory is that I would still keep Ahmad and Garnacho competing on the right, because I feel like both of their best areas are there. And we've still got Rashford, we've got Sancho. We don't know where Xerxes is going to play, but we're going to have like issues on the left as well. The conventional theory would be start Ahmad on the right and put Garnacho on the left. But I don't see anything wrong in competition. I feel like it was United's best area, best threat for that entire game came from that side. Ahmad and then Garnacho coming on. But you would keep starting with Ahmad and then keep bringing Garnacho on, or would you put him from the left?
Well, I mean, if Garnacho's doing enough, I mean, obviously this is all pie in the sky at the moment, but if it does work out that way and Garnacho's coming off the bench and he's looking good when he's coming off the bench, he's proving the point, and he gets to that stage where the manager feels, I can't keep doing this because I'm stopping the player, I'm hindering the player by not playing him enough. I'm going to lose him mentally soon because we know he's reactive in that sense. He does show his frustration in the wrong manner. And then he's got to turn around and say, well, what's happened on the left-hand side? If there's not enough coming, he's got to do it. And he's got to be strong. And he's got to be backed. If Marcus Rashford carries on from where he was last season, then he's got to play the players that are actually showing the form that he wants and showing consistency. Maybe it might help Garnacho. I mean, Garnacho coming off his left side, he'd be happy to come inside on his right foot. The only problem though is that he'll get in his head that he's going to want to shoot all the time, and that's his big problem, is that he wants to shoot all the time. He doesn't. He's not looking for people when he's coming in off onto his stronger side. So that's where the manager again has to be stronger and start demanding things of him. And the player doesn't want to deal with that and thinks he can pick and choose and what he wants to do. And then you've got to first of all remind him that he plays in a team. And then secondly, if it's not working out, then he's going to have to maybe leave him out completely until such time he learns. But there is an opportunity that they just might be better in wide areas. If United improve in wide areas, that means the teams improve, because in wide areas they were poor last season. They need Højlund to now step up. He's had that bedded in period. The fans like him because they like his work ethic. He doesn't score tap-ins as such. He can make his own goal. So that what he needs, one of the things, obviously wide area players have got to give him opportunities, but he needs then to do his bit, and he's got to have a little bit of spark in him. He's got to keep hold of the ball, get it, control, just keep possession. If he can't earn a foul, but earn a foul properly, at his size, he can't throw himself down the floor as he had been doing on the latter part of last season. So the white players need someone to, I don't know what's going on there again, need someone to play off. Someone they can lend the ball to, if anything. If not, they can pull it through, because they know that once he's on someone's shoulder, you're not going to knock him off. He's not going to go down easy. He's going to want to fight because he wants to score. But learn to play with the ball. Keep hold of it. Get your body shape right, and then give it back. Play people in. That's the only bit in his game where I think everyone was frustrated with him. People were annoyed because he wasn't being given the ball. He wasn't being given opportunities. But his fault was he wasn't doing enough when the ball went into him on those few occasions.
Yeah. And maybe that this bleeding in from the right period is kind of like a way of teaching him to be more observant. And to be fair, it does seem to work, because he's created a fair few chances in the couple of games at Wembley that we've seen, cutting in, or even exploiting the space on the right to allow players to make hay in the middle. Like, he's created a couple of chances for Rashford, hasn't he, over the couple of games at Wembley against City. So, there's the issue, not issue. The thing with Garnacho, his ceiling is so high, and this is still, we've got to remember, it's still only his second full season that he'll be playing. So he's 20 now, but he's still development. And Kobe had another great season, another great game on Saturday. Casemiro played well as well. Everyone's looking at what he was going to do, but he had a good game. I thought Collier did very well when he came on. I don't think his range is quite as full as Mainu. His impact, his ability to make an impact on the game and make it run to his tempo is probably not the same. But in knitting the pieces together, his composure looked very good in there. It's a weird one, isn't it, for United, their midfield? Because at present, although they're all talking about getting another player in, you'd feel like the most senior three are going to be Casemiro, Mainu, and Fernandes, and all three played all right on Saturday.
Yeah, they did do all right, but then we've seen them in other games playing together, and it hasn't worked out, and that's when the kind of get rid of Casemiro brigade come along. But you can see what Casemiro can do if there's a good structure around him.
Yeah.
He needs that now. He's earned the right to have that, because his career tells you exactly what he's all about. And if you just put it all flippy-floppy around him, and then you're looking for something more from him as an individual, you're not going to get it. You put him in a team that is built around him, structured right, you'll get even more, and he'll organise and he'll make things happen with and without the ball. And I think they saw that at the weekend. It definitely was that little bit more stability with him playing. I think a few people, the ones who have, the lovers of him, then the haters of him, and couldn't wait to get rid of him and pushing for him to go to Saudi Brigade, would have changed their mind a little bit now as well because of that performance against a side like City, a side that generally don't give you the ball. When you do get it, you have to be careful with it and, cuddle it and don't give it away cheaply. But he was still breaking play up and he was still decent with the ball. And he is one of those players, you can see it in his own way. He shows his frustration. I think that came out last season with some of the things that was going on. The bookings he was getting, and he was making last-ditch challenges all the time and doing that because he didn't really trust what was behind him. It was a shambles defensively, what happened last season, what some of the things that the manager, that happened to him defensively, and some of the decisions the manager made and what he was going to do defensively. So I'm hoping that he'll be better this season on some of the things he's done. I'm no expert, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are scratching their heads sometimes on some of the things he's done with that back line.
Yeah, well, I mean, he tried something a little bit different on Saturday, which was Martinez starting at left back, and I can see why he's doing that, considering the theory. Well, first of all, because we didn't have a fit left back apart from Dallo, and he wanted to try later on because we don't have Wan-Bissaka available and Shaw wasn't there, and Amas was left out of the squad because he made a comment about Amas's development. So maybe in 2 or 3 months we'll see Amas in the first team. He looks so composed in pre-season. Not surprised. Or maybe we blooded in certain games because I couldn't see the arm in him being in the squad on Friday, for example. But the fullback area is where he played Martinez there, and like I said, maybe the fact that he's left-footed, and if Ligt and Yoro are both fit at certain points in the season, then it might make sense to try playing him there because he's left-footed. It's worth a try in the charity community.
The thing about it, though, I was when I was in Qatar for the World Cup. I saw actually at the game. I think it was Argentina, Australia, and I saw Martinez playing left back for Argentina, and I was there with the people I was with, and I said, he doesn't look right. He doesn't look comfortable.
Yeah.
He's not involved in the game. It doesn't seem like he wants to be involved because he kept coming inside, kept coming in.
Yeah, there was that, yeah.
And then he didn't like being up against people 1-against-1 in those areas. And then the moment someone got injured, I think it was a Tottenham lad got injured, and then he went into the middle, and then he was what he was, what everyone sees week in, week out. His whole game changed, completely changed his game. He just seemed more comfortable with that area. Even with a bigger area around it, it should be the other way around, because sometimes you just feel like being tight in somewhere, it makes you feel you're more solid. But he seems to be more happy with more space, and I think that's because of the way, as you see him, the moment he stepped in, he wants to play with he wants to play forward, and he wants to be able to pass the ball forward. And I think he found that passing channel as a left back. It's a completely different game. If you're an out and out left back, to step into the middle or right back, it's different. But he struggled. So could you say that he could go and do a job for a few games in the league? I would say no, because he'll be found wanting, and he's one of those players who will show his emotions, he will show his frustration, and he will be consistently getting yellow cards. The moment someone tries to beat him, it'll be a nightmare.
He'll be getting yellow cards anyway. That's the kind of player he is. But Dan, actually, on that, because it's a good point to bring in, Dan says good morning. He wants to know your thoughts on the recruitment so far and the pending ones coming in. Good time to talk about that, because Ligt we did talk about last week, but he's probably going to be joined by Mazraoui, the Moroccan fullback, who has got previous Ajax as well, having spent some time at Bayern. Interesting one, Mazraoui, because he's nowhere near as defensive as Wan-Bissaka, who is really, but that's the trade-off that United are making. Mazraoui coming in, he can play on either side. He has played there for Morocco because of the Hakimi, the lad from Paris, who plays there for Morocco. So he has played on the left-hand side there. But again, you're looking like Dalot, maybe suspect defensively, but they do kind of what to I wouldn't say to an expert level, but to a good level of what Ten Hag wants them to do on the ball. So you've got two players there who can flip between either fullback positions, not quite Dennis Irwin level, but they can flip between them nonetheless. What do you make of the? I mean, it looks like they're both coming in for the medicals today. We talked about the late, but what do you make of Mazraoui as a signing?
First of all, they're not Dennis Irwin or Gary Neville. What about Paul Parker?
I mean, I didn't say Paul Parker. I didn't say Gary Neville. I meant Dennis Irwin can play on either side.
Yeah,
That's what I meant with Dalot and Mazraoui. I wouldn't put him in your class, Paul. You know,
you can do what you want. It is all about opinions, but as I suppose as you would mostly know anyway, I was a big fan of Wan-Bissaka, and for obvious reasons, because he was the best in the country at what he'd done.
Yeah.
And if you talked about right backs in the league and in the league, you would turn around and say that Wan-Bissaka would be up there with some of the better ones. You ask anybody, and they would turn around, and any player played against him or anything, they'll turn around and say Wan-Bissaka. We're caught up in this world at the moment, this football world, where the right back has to assist 20 times to be decent, has to have 10 shots, all this kind of stuff, and maybe score 3 goals. Wan-Bissaka, that's not in his DNA, but he improved from what he was the previous season. His first season under Ten Hag, he improved immensely. Yeah. His game, everything on some of the things he'd done, but the one thing that he improved on as well, he improved on his decision making on his slide tackles. Yeah. So he cut them down, he became more clinical with them as well. So the lad wanted to learn. I think the way this has carried on, and now it seems like it's going to happen, and you can imagine it, everyone around here is talking about it. They cannot believe that they've got this player for, say, 15 mil, and he's far superior of any right back they've had in years. Yeah. Already they're saying that. They cannot believe it. It hurts me, to be perfectly honest, that he's gone so cheaply. And I don't think he really wanted to go in that sense. But he hasn't made a big fuss of it. I think he'll get what he wants to go, and the club have got every right to give it to him because he's been forced out. I think they'll miss him, Wayne. Yeah. I think they'll miss him. I think that there'll be fans there going, and if what's his name, whatever. I'll catch on to it as it goes on. Maybe for the Brighton game, so I'm at the Brighton game. Is that as good as what he does one bit, it's going to allow other teams to think about what they do the other way. Manchester United got given the best chance of winning that FA Cup with Wan-Bissaka at right back, especially with Doku. Yeah. And at one time, when Doku had a bit of space, had a bit of space, he scores because Wan-Bissaka did the overlap and allowed Garnacho to stand there, put his arms behind his back. And then when Doku shifts the ball, he's got no balance, he can't move. That one time, and all of a sudden it changed the game that little bit, and that's when everyone went a little bit on edge, because City got a second breath. He's the best defensive right back maybe in Europe, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think West Ham, by getting him, have improved that. If they stayed as they were with the players he had there and they just brought in Wan-Bissaka, their defence would have improved by 60% because they've got him. And now they've gone and done what they've done, and West Ham have definitely improved as a team. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that they've let him go. They're going to leave themselves so light defensively because of it, because of what they've gone and done. He should have been offered another contract. And if this other player's coming in, and the worst thing that goes against it is that he comes from Ajax. So that means he has to hit the ground running quicker than other players. So people will be looking, and I'm not on about Manchester United fan, I'm on about the sceptics at the programme to the left of me will be there, and they'll be watching, and they'll be ready to go all in to question everything the man in charge has done, especially when he brings in players that he's worked with already. At all levels of football, you go and do that. You need that player, fingers crossed, to come off here. Already he's been one of them hasn't delivered. So he needs these two coming in to hit the ground running. One of them in Ligt, I like him. I think he's been served up a little bit. I mean, even Scholesy has let himself down a little bit by saying, "Oh well, if he's got Eric Dyer playing in front of him, then how good is he?" Well, to be honest, we have to remember football's about opinions.
That was wrong, by the way. Shouldn't have said that.
I know because they play together.
Yeah,
they play together. But still, on that side of it, anybody who's not playing, and Ligt hasn't played a lot of football, you have to ask, was it about a manager's opinion about someone else? You look at the lad who come from Napoli as well, the South Korean lad. He left Napoli as a hero, a great centre half, and Manchester United were mentioned with him. And it fell out of bed because of the way the club were dealing it then. He's gone to Bayern Munich, and all of a sudden he's getting booed by Bayern Munich fans because he made one mistake in the Champions League game. So he's got to win them back. So De Ligt was under pressure when he went there. He went there as a young kid, and then he's been there. He went to Juve as a young kid.
Yeah.
And then he had to deal with the Benetti and the what's his name? Chiellini. He had that, getting over that kind of period, always no good. He's this and that because he had two incredible centre halves who played before him. And then he's made that move. He's gone to Bayern. I'll tell you what, the lad's been under pressure. He mostly felt a little bit of pressure on him from the fans and maybe the strength of Bayern Munich as well, with the people behind the manager doing what they're doing. I think it'd be a breath of fresh air. I think playing for someone who he respects, who knows how good he is, and I think there's a great chance that he will deliver everything that people have been looking for. A good, solid lad, physical, very, decent with the ball, and he's quick. He's quick enough as well to play in that position. And if he's playing next to Martinez as well, what a wonderful, youthful central defence partnership that is.
Yeah, and with Yoro in there, looks like the best since Ferdinand Vidic and Evans. Really, though, looks like potentially the best setup that we've had there since that time for sure. I share your thoughts on Wan-Bissaka. We got the comment in from Johnny here, says 15 million is criminal. He's worth at least 30 to 40. Brilliant defender. But it feels like it's one of those that will come back to bite United in some form, because he'll play brilliantly against us. You can guarantee that. I mean, and I say this right now, he's not gone yet, but he does, everything he said is right. It doesn't feel like feels like it's been engineered for him to move on, and they're putting the pressure on him to do that because that's what's been wrangling on for a couple of weeks. And West Ham are going to be getting a real bargain. I mean, to get a Wan-Bissaka would cost 3 times that amount as it did when we got him. So, and that was 5 years ago, wasn't it? So it's a time when prices have gone up even more. Are we definitely replacing him with a definite upgrade? I'm not sure on that. Does the player coming in offer so much more going forward that it's worth that trade? I don't think so, because Bayern wouldn't be getting rid of him. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
For me, Wayne, if he's going to come in and do a job, he's got to come in. He's got to give at least, I'm going to say, 15 proper assists. I mean, proper assists. I don't just mean flicking it 1 yard to somebody and what a great assist and all that. And he's got to score at least half a dozen goals. If you're going to talk about to give something back, because you look at what Wan-Bissaka, okay, assists-wise, he got more and more involved. But you look at the opportunities that he stopped, the opportunities to score, the opportunities to put in dangerous crosses from the byline, things like that he done was second to none, to be perfectly honest. And there's not enough credit given to defending in this world today. Everything is about stats for going forward. And if they talk in anything at the back, it's about the goalkeeper. They want to throw out things. The back four haven't conceded. They don't really go individually in what they deliver. And individually, there's no one who can match him. No one. Everything about his game is quiet and he's efficient. There's no great aggression. Never gets rolled by anything. He's always very, very calm, regardless of the magnitude of the game. And to go and find someone like that, It's very, very difficult. And all the big games that he played in, he never once did he really. If anyone, someone might pick something up, but he never looked rattled, to be perfectly honest.
Mm.
But I mean, the one thing, my only thing against him, I would say, where I don't know if this is because of the way they've allowed this game to go and the handball and making defenders feel they're not allowed to tackle anymore. He let too many people get into the box with the ball at their feet still, and he never pinned them down early enough. And that might be because he's scared of handballs, scared that the fact of if the player shows a great bit of skill and gets past him and he slightly clips him as the player's doing this great bit of skill, that straight away he gets a yellow card. No credit to the lad's skill, but because you tackled him and he fell over, I'm giving a yellow card. So defending can't become an art anymore, where it was always called that during my time. Great defending was always talked about by commentators, co-commentators, but
Yeah.
not anymore. Not anymore. You're dirty. Give away too many fouls. Don't touch him. He gives away too many fouls. Can't help it if people fall down it far easier than what they do now, or how they used to then, I should say.
Yeah. One thing's for sure. Yeah, all right, we can talk about him in mixed tones and what he brought going forward. But in terms of being a natural defender, I think there's Wes Brown, there's yourself. There's not that many more that instantly come to mind in the Premier League era.
Mm.
Naturally great tacklers who played for United. I'm including players like Rio Ferdinand in that, who may be United's best ever defender, but in terms of naturally tackling. His reading of the game was exceptional, Ferdinand, but his tackling ability, I would still put Wan-Bissaka above that. So
Yeah, we're gonna. Sorry, just one quick bit before you move on. The one reason, maybe the one reason only that Sir Alex signed me is he said that I was a natural defender.
yeah,
That's one of the reasons why, because of that. If I couldn't, that was as simple as that. I was a natural defender. I enjoyed defending. I didn't
yeah,
mind that. Didn't see that. I took it upon. If I couldn't do that properly, I was no good to anyone else. It was as simple as that. If I had a job to do was to stop someone, I would stop that person. So, but that's been taken away now. That's taken away. Oh, they're two a penny. You can always get someone. I'm one of those people. You can always get someone to destroy. It's easy to go and do, but it's not anymore. It isn't, because you can't kick people to death anymore. So it has been. So defending is an art in a way, but no one will give it the respect it deserves, to be perfectly honest. And when you talk about that, about fullback, we can go the other end of it, and we can have him 40 miles up the road, and everyone's right. Oh, there's the best right back and everything. The lad couldn't defend, doesn't want to defend, and all he does is pump balls, long balls into the box. He doesn't dribble past people. He doesn't play 1-2s and run into the box. But yet they rave about him. But he's not the modern day fullback. That's
yeah,
the thing about it. The modern day fullback, they want somebody scurries, 1-2s in the box, everything. But he's not. But yet should be playing right back for England, and he's this, he's that. So I don't really understand what the people want, what they really want. Liverpool fans, if they put their hand on their heart, they want a right back who they know is going to make a tackle and is going to help his centre half out and have passion when he runs back. But they'll never say that. So there you are. Wan-Bissaka was the one that would do Liverpool a favour if Wan-Bissaka was willing to go there.
Well, thank God he didn't. Mazraoui, by the way, is a scurrier. So, like you said, he's that modern kind of fullback in there. Before we move on to talk about Fulham, we've got a question from Dan, which has been in the news. A lot of stuff presently about the redevelopment of Old Trafford. He says, according to the media, United are considering keeping Old Trafford as part of the new stadium development, but smaller. Wayne, what do you think of that, Paul? As you got to play in that stadium so many times, what do you think of keeping a smaller original Old Trafford?
What do you mean smaller? What, bring down the crowd?
Yeah, so I guess in terms of like the say they build a new stadium, 100,000 or whatever on the adjacent to it, downscale the stadium. So I guess to what it was when you first went there, they take off the first and second tiers, bring you down somewhere around 30,000, 40,000 capacity, which I don't. I'll just my opinion on it. I don't really understand because it's a lot of development costs and you're still losing a lot. I guess it's to do with the maintenance and upkeep costs of a bigger stadium, but United have proven that they can get 50,000 for youth cup games, and I think the women's game, if they intend the women games to play there, you can't say that the women's game would be limited to only getting 30,000, because the idea is that will grow as well. So downscaling it, I understand keeping it on that premise, but downscaling it, I'm not too sure about. And about the movement, I've gone on record in different places talking about this as, I'm a traditionalist. Yeah, it'd be great to stay at Old Trafford, but part of United's identity in the past has been moving whenever they outgrow. And if that's what happens now, that's what happens now. We just have to accept that. And well, this has been a proposed solution. Paul, what do you make of it? You've had a couple of minutes there to digest downscaling and what that.
I don't get that, to be honest. When I arrived at Old Trafford, it was I think it was 42,000 when I arrived in '91. Was it about 40? It was about 42.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. That's why it kind of shocks me when I haven't heard that. I mean, I'm not into them moving at all. I mean, even when they said 100,000, I don't. I mean, that's for me. That just says tourists. It just doesn't. I mean, you straight away it's going to lose atmosphere. In that sense as well, it just wouldn't be the same. Everything's just going to be all over the place. But I can understand. I mean, keeping the ground where it is, I'm kind of for that, but not so much a downscale. Not when you're talking going 30, 40,000. That doesn't make any sense at all. It can't be. That means then it's going to be like the cheapest ticket's going to be minimum £150 or something like £200. Because there's no way they're going to lose on gate revenue.
No, I'm keeping it as well as so they build a new stadium, and then the newest stadium would be for the youth reserve and the women's game. So they're not going to. I don't think that would happen with the. Well, you never know. Maybe it would, because you don't know which direction those games are going to go. The women's side of the game you would anticipate is going to grow. So the demand, they're currently playing. I don't know what the capacity is at Ligt, or where the women's team have been playing. I just feel like you just keep it as it is. I don't.
For me, Wayne, we keep talking. It's a bit like politics at this moment in time. The thing about the ground for me, it's a deflection. It's a deflection. The ground thing's a deflection. It's not, and I think it's unnecessary. The biggest thing at the moment is to get something on the grass that is doing well consistently. That's the most important thing. Without that, you can go and build whatever you want, but unless you get a team that's going to threaten to win the major trophies available, you can talk about what you got. There's only so long you can live off of what you've done before, especially in today's world, the way these youngsters are. Yeah. Anything 10 minutes ago is history. They want to knock it down if someone's built a statue about it. So don't worry about so much, but get to the important matter about what's happening on the pitch. So that's me. Maybe I'm old school, but great, have this spanking stadium, and then go and put go and put something on it that represents what you find in a field full of horses. What's the point?
Like how much I get grief online for, like, basically through what I do, because of the fact that I study United's history so much, and everyone's always like, "Oh, you keep rambling on about history," and just the point that you said there, history is 10 minutes ago. Like, history is everything, right? From the second we speak, that's my response is like, everything is history. All right, so let's talk about the future. Fulham on Friday night, your old club. Mixed pre-season for them. They've lost two key players. Tosin has gone to one of the 4 million players who've gone to Chelsea. Polina, midfielder who would have definitely been a nice signing for United, has gone to Bayern Munich for, I think he was 40 million, so a decent fee there that they've got for him. I mean, that Bayern have got for him, because I think he was a really good signing. And really, the only key incoming has been Smith Rowe. What do you make of Fulham? What do you think we're going to expect on Friday night?
Well, more importantly, it's about Fulham and Manchester United. Our performance against Fulham, because I was at the game at the back end of the season, and it was. You remember it, Wayne? It was woeful. It was as woeful as I've ever known a game of football, to be honest. And when I say that about United, I mean what I've actually sat there in the stadium and watched. To be perfectly honest, it was the worst I've ever seen. The reaction of the fans as well was the worst. Was the worst that I can remember at any, at this given time.
Yeah.
Certainly, there was poor performances under every manager since Sir Alex, and there was poor ones under Sir Alex, but not a team like Fulham coming to Old Trafford and doing what they done. If the game had finished 1-1, honestly, everyone would have been laughing really how they got away with it, and they were about to get away with it when somehow Harry Maguire scores that goal after I don't know how he managed to do it, and then he gets caught out by Traore. He gets, Christ Almighty, it was like straight away Roadrunner just gone past him. He just couldn't move. He was just caught on his heels, and it was, he was just suspended in the air going backwards and didn't know what was going on. They've missed the penalty as well, if I remember rightly. If that's right, did they miss the penalty?
Fulham.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I remember the end of the game for sure. I've tried to watch it.
Yeah, well, and if something happened, I mean, I just people sitting around me. It was just an incredible performance that afternoon. So it's about, and they're going into the game though with everyone with a good feel factor. So it does need a performance. The fans want to see a solid performance. That's what they want to see. They don't want to see a getting over the line win. They don't need that anymore. They, Ten Hag, and I want him to do really well as much as you want him to do well, Wayne. But if it hasn't changed enough from what it was last season, then you've have to be honest and say, is he the right person to do the job? Again, he's unlucky with what's happened with the centre half. You look at it now, the Ligt one, could he get him right and then maybe get him there for the weekend? Little things. Is Luke Shaw going to be coming out of wherever he is, doing what he's doing? That's an amazing how you can do what he's done. Miss all the games from February, and then say you're fit to travel for your country, and train with them, get on the pitch, do everything you do there, then come back, don't go on a trip to America, and then not fit to play in the Charity Shield. I saw Diaz was playing. Even just something like that, I find it very, very, very strange and very odd that it's happening. Very much is happening. I don't know. I mean, managers don't manage. They don't manage anymore. They're worried about speaking up about a player because he'll be shouted down because he's had a go at a player, asking a player to do his job.
Yeah.
And it seems like Luke Shaw is not really, on the forefront of his mind is to do his best for his football club. And I'm disappointed by it. I just cannot believe this is going on, and the position that United are in at the moment in fullback areas, you expect to be buzzing. Can't wait to get back, knowing what everyone thinks about him. Everyone's got a little bit of a grudge about him because of the way what he went and done during the summer. But if he was to come, the moment if he starts United, there'll be a big cheer, and then he's got to deliver. And everyone's looking forward to him coming because they know that he makes a difference. And for him to maybe not be there at the weekend, and then is he, isn't he kind of thing, what's going on, then it's going to cause problems because United are going to be unbalanced. Yeah. They're going to be unbalanced, and he gives that little bit more surety. He gives a little bit more. That wasn't a pun, by the way, surety. He had something on that left-hand side. Could he make a difference to Marcus Rashford? Could he add something to his game, give him another option, dominate him, and make sure he does everything right? And maybe Rashford needs someone to shout or play with a presence that demands that he's given the ball. Yeah, that might just help him. But to have a left-footed player, that means that he could step inside and have someone outside to take someone away. All those little things that we all know that a good solid left back can offer, and and that's the list. But I don't know. I'm waiting to see, because it would be a massive lift if he was to suddenly turn up, him and Martinez on that left hand side, what a big lift that would be, and for Ten Hag as well to have that balance back, and then he's got almost everything right to a certain point. He's going to be missing Hoyland. Is he going to start with the Dutch lad?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, is he going to start with him in that false nine role? We didn't give him a run at the weekend, which is odd, really odd. So the lad carried on from where he was during the Euros on the bench and not getting on. So at least that was consistent, really, and by a Dutch manager as well. So that even adds to it. So I don't, I'm really hoping it works out well, because if it doesn't, there's going to be a backlash.
Yeah, that's United are like sort of running on that gauntlet, aren't they? They always are, but I mean, especially with the manager this season, considering the events of the pre-season. It is interesting for me, the show thing, because I think if you have Martinez there and you've got Casemiro in front of him, and then you've got Rashford on the left, you've got enough experience there that I would not be that concerned about giving Amas a run. And then if he impresses, yeah, all right, he might be green, but it's a question mark for Shaw coming back, because then it'll be a place to lose. As it looks, I would say Mazraoui has got a chance of passing the medical and being registered, so he would be the first choice at right back, and Dalot would move over to the left, which isn't ideal. You want competition, like I was saying at the start. You want Ahmad and I wouldn't mind seeing Ahmad and Garnacho fight it out, and I wouldn't mind seeing Mazraoui and Dalot fight it out, because you might see the best of both of them there. And we're talking about, I've said on record numerous times, I was very concerned about it at the weekend when Doku got the wrong side of Dalot in the first half, and he roasted him, and it looked very concerning. Mazraoui, I wouldn't rule that out happening to him either, because he's not, like I said, he's just not as defensively resolute as what Wan-Bissaka is. But then again, who is? That's the point. I do share. It feels like United are going to have to be convincing in some games. They were quite convincing on Saturday. They played well against City. They bossed. They rode out the storm. They never looked massively under pressure. They actually, City, as much as they can be made to look ordinary in possession, they manage that quite well. So if they can keep the optimism going from the cup final and the Community Shield, despite the penalty defeat into that, and start winning games convincingly, because that's another thing. I mean, the thing that we saw with when Ten Hag had his really good run in the second half of his first season was we were winning games, but never really convincingly. They were always by one goal. They were never like a landslide. United need to start winning games comfortably, need to start showing off, start playing like United. And some of the players there definitely do that. We've got Ahmad, Garnacho, full of beans, Mainu, full of beans, Fernandez, consistent. So if we can get that, especially the forward line dynamic as well sorted, you never know. I always remember the Fulham game, 2006, just after we sold Rooney, and everyone's like, well, are we going to play him Ronaldo? And Rooney took it to a different level, and we blitzed him 5-1 and went on to win the title. Not expecting that this season. But I do feel like maybe there's some kind of liberation in there, mainly inspired by what the form of Ahmad and Garnacho could bring. So we'll see. We'll see. I agree with you. You want to see Xerxes come in and make an impression. You want to see Højlund, when he's back, be more dominant and aggressive in the claiming of that position in the middle. But these are the questions that will be getting answered over the coming weeks. We will be here to talk about them. Paul and I won't be back next week. Hopefully, I'll be back with Dave. Paul will be on a break, I believe, next week. You're having a nice time. Just one last comment before we go. Patrick, good morning. Good to see you for the new season, my friend. He says he just wants to make a comment about Shaw in the side. He's more of a bonus ball. He's averaged 50% of appearances in 8 out of 10 seasons. Just not reliable. Yeah, and it goes back onto what Paul was saying a bit earlier. And hopefully, this will be one of those seasons where he does play all the time and he's fit, because we need that balance, don't we?
It's amazing, though. Your team's having a really, really good season. Then I've cut down on injuries, by the way.
Well, exactly what Rooney was saying at the back end of last season. We've said that, oh yeah, you see a lot more players declaring themselves fit for games. Will be interesting to see what happens on Friday. Anyway, I'm had a little bit of football fatigue over the summer, especially with the constant speculation over 10 hour. But being there on Saturday and seeing so many people has whetted my appetite to see more people again on Friday. Football is much around what you see when you're there at the game, your mates and everything like that, the experience as it is the game itself. So we'll be back next week to talk about it, Dave and I, hopefully. If not, then Paul and I will be back the following week after that. So it'll be Brighton after that, won't it, the second game. So I think Paul's covering that for media, so get a closer eye on that as well. If you've enjoyed the show, please give us a subscription and like on YouTube, and give us a subscription and review on the platform you listen on as well, on the audio platform. So stay safe, stay well. Thanks for listening and watching.